A couple of months ago, I was preparing for a summer of surfing, beaches, and soccer, and I stepped onto the pitch of my Saturday, very serious rec soccer league, not knowing my summer was about to get a sledgehammer to the noggin. I tore my ACL. It sucked. It really sucked. But in my desperation to heal faster, I became the very person I used to judge forever, the supplement guy. Bro, do you even like creatine, bro? Here's the results of my months of talking to internal medicine doctors who didn't quit, registered dietitians and nutritionists, PhD researchers, and my exhaustive look at every article, every academic article I could look at, and personally testing every supplement I could find. Here are the 7 most important supplements I take daily as an MD. So here they are right away. You can check them out and then close the video, but please watch my disclaimer in about 45 seconds about these. And if you want to learn how to take these, my reasoning and my experience with all these, then you might want to watch the rest of the video. So here's the table of everything. Boom. I'll stay still. Just look at the table. Don't look at me. Look at the table. Okay, but here's my disclaimer. None of these brands are sponsoring me, though I've included affiliate Amazon links throughout, meaning I'll earn like 1% of $1, which is 1 cent. But this is not medical advice. I'm simply sharing my personal experiment based on my background as an internal medicine resident for 1 year. Always consult your doctor before adding new supplements, and consider introducing 1 new supplement every 2 weeks instead of just blasting them all in your face in a couple of hours. So anyway, that out of the way, this is what works well for me and might not work well for you. Your mileage may vary. Talk to your doc. The sky rains blue, not green. So after everything, it seems there are 3 high-yield supplements that real doctors nearly always recommend, and then 4 others that they usually recommend. Okay, so let's talk about the top 3. So the first top 3, or the foundational trio, what doctors actually recommend is vitamin D3, K2, magnesium, and usually creatine. So let's start with vitamin D3 and K2. So what do I take? Well, the one I take is this Thorn D plus K2 liquid. It's like these little drops. And I take about 2,000 IU of D3 and 2,000 micrograms of K2. But when I was practicing medicine, vitamin D was literally the only supplement that I'd consistently recommend to my patients, because the research is overwhelming. About 42% of Americans are vitamin D deficient, with rates even higher in people with darker skin, the elderly, and those living in northern latitudes. And a 2024 clinical trial showed that vitamin K2 at 720 micrograms a day combined with D3 25 micrograms a day may help slow the progression of coronary artery calcification in high-risk patients. And the reason this is important, because there were some studies that came out initially that if you gave people a lot of vitamin D, that they would actually show increased coronary calcification because it has some interaction with calcium, supposedly. Who knows? But K2 is actually crucial because it might help prevent this coronary calcification, which is bad. You don't want your coronaries, which are the arteries and veins in your heart, to become smaller. You want them to stay open. So anyway, you want to add K2 because if you don't, it could lead to long-term health risks like arteriosclerosis and osteoporosis. Just bad stuff getting in places you don't want to be, like the arteries of your heart and your joints. So what do? I mix 4 drops into my morning orange juice, and it's completely flavorless. My vitamin D levels went from borderline deficient, as tested by the good old blood, at 28 nanograms per milliliter to pretty close to optimal at 45 nanograms a milliliter, about 3 or 4 months of doing this consistently. Okay, highest based evidence supplement number 2, magnesium. This is the mineral that actually lives up to the hype. So what do I take? I take magnesium gummies, and I take about 400 milligrams a day. Now, it gets really complicated here with magnesium because there's threonate, there's citrate, there's glycinate. Really what you need to think about and do the research on yourself, right, and talk to your doctor about is where is it going to be best for you. Certain formulations of magnesium have different basically side effects, such as GI side effects. Other versions taste different, other versions go to different places, and the evidence here is pretty all over the place. Again, I recommend talking to your doctor. What do I take? I take magnesium citrate because I just honestly tried threonate, which is supposedly better, but had a worse I didn't have a great reaction to it, honestly. But citrate seems to settle well with me. and kind of helps me feel a little bit better. So magnesium was the second most recommended supplement by doctors I talked to, and it's usually recommended for sleep issues or for muscle cramps. And a comprehensive review by the PMC found that magnesium plays important and therapeutic roles in the prevention of diabetes, osteoporosis, bronchial asthma, preeclampsia, migraines, sleep disorders, and even cardiovascular diseases. So I chew 4 to 5 of these like peach flavored gummies every single day. And I don't know if it's done anything, but it hasn't harmed me in any way. My sleep has been okay, and none of my blood work has really changed that much. So while clinical trial evidence for magnesium sleep benefits is still pretty limited, the safety profile is excellent, and the theoretical mechanisms make sense. So I don't think it can harm you. It's recommended by many doctors. I think magnesium is a safe place to start. Again, speak to your doctor, blah, 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 blah. Okay, creatine, the supplement with the strongest evidence base. So what do? I just take naked creatine monohydrate mixed with 5 grams daily. You don't need any of these fancy formulations. A lot of companies are promising crazy things. Do the research yourself. Look at these third-party testing sites that take and look at the actual concentration of things and do the research for yourself. I'm going to link you to a bunch of articles that really show you probably only need creatine monohydrate at maybe like 5 grams or 7 grams. 5 grams probably the safest every single day. And that's why I choose to take it pretty much every single day. So it makes sense to me, right? So muscles use ATP, which is adenine triphosphate. So it's an adenine molecule with 3 of these phosphate groups attached to it. And when you use ATP, one of these phosphate groups is chopped off, right? And that releases a lot of energy. So what creatine does, it basically gives you another phosphate group so you can chop it off again and get more energy. The idea being you have an easier access to this energy, not only in your muscles, but also your brain. So a major review of over 300 studies in molecular and cellular biochemistry showed that about 70% of these studies, so again, they looked at a bunch of studies, and in 70% of them, they reported statistically significant improvements in maximal power, strength, work performed, and stuff like that, at around 5 to 15%. So maybe you'll get a 10% bigger lift or be able to do another 10% rep or something like that, another rep. If you're doing 10 reps, maybe you could do 11 reps. If you're lifting 100 pounds, maybe you can lift 110 pounds. And also these studies show excellent tolerability at the dose of around 3 to 5 grams every single day. That's a pretty good outcome. Again, do your own research, do your own studies, but I think creatine is one of the supplements that I've actually personally seen the biggest results from, like in the gym. Like I've put on some weight, it's probably a lot of water weight to be honest, but I feel like I've been able to lift a little bit more after a month of taking it consistently. Now there are a few kind of exciting randomized controlled trials that show creatine improves short-term memory and intelligence as well, which makes sense to me as the brain, although it's only 2% of our body weight, uses about 20% of our calories. So again, I do a whole diatribe on studies and stuff like that, and you have to be very, very careful with a lot of this research because there's things called p-hacking, there's a bunch of stuff that goes on. But really, for me, when I look at stuff, I want to look at randomized, controlled, clinical trials that they start out with one endpoint in mind and they come to these results. So the idea is, I really don't think a lot of scientists, no one really knows what's going on. But if you do controlled studies with people that say, okay, we gave this person this person this, it was blinded, and we really only looked at this result that we started off wanting to look at, it makes me believe the research much more than like case control studies or quizzing people or all these kind of stuff. Again, the validity and replicability of studies is really important, but it's hard to assess. So anyway, talk to your doctor, talk to someone who knows a lot before you do any of this stuff. But what do? I mix 5 grams with my water every morning. It's completely flavorless, it dissolves instantly, and since adding this to my routine, I have personally noted a difference. Whether that's placebo effect or real benefit, I'll take it. A lot of these things are honestly probably placebo. Sorry. Okay, number 2, let's move on to the mid-tier. So mid-tier, I think, are the omega-3s and also collagen for me. So I take Nordic Naturals algae, omega-3, and this is about 715 milligrams of EPA and DHA. So I went the vegan route because I'm allergic to fish. Sucks. And my theory behind this, if anyone really cares, is that I stepped on a lionfish And the same thing happened to me when people get bitten by those fancy ticks on the West Coast and they become allergic to red meat. That's a real thing. You can look it up. I spoke to my allergist about this and she didn't believe me, but who's the professional here? The YouTuber or the doctor? Anyway, but the cardiovascular and brain health benefits of omega-3s are pretty well studied, though you can get a lot of what you need from like fatty fish, walnuts, flax seeds, really a proper diet. And if you're not allergic to fish like me, you'll probably get more than enough from that. So I take one of these soft gels with breakfast, and although I can't feel any immediate effects, I figure it hasn't made me feel bad, so I might as well just keep taking it. And I'll cover this at the end of the video, but the reality is that you'll get leaps and bounds more benefits from proper diet, sleep, control of your chronic health conditions, and exercise than really any supplement could ever do. For example, compared to people that barely ever exercise, those that do exercise have nearly half the chance of suffering death from cardiovascular disease. This is replicated, controlled studies, and it's crazy. Okay, so why do I take collagen? Why do I list this as mid-tier? Well, a couple months ago, I tore my ACL. It was really, really fun, as you saw before. But I take sports research collagen, and I take about 20 grams daily. So there's some evidence, it's honestly a little bit mixed, but that suggests combining collagen with vitamin C may support ligament healing post-surgery. And this makes sense just from what I learned from medical school, because I know that the ligament is involved with collagen. I'm literally taking collagen, and vitamin C helps basically deposit these new matrices of collagen. And what happened, right, is they took my quad tendon, a piece of it, and they drilled it essentially between my tibia and my femur to give me a new ACL. So hopefully when I take these supplements, I'm essentially giving my body more resources to help rebuild this new ligament. It's like providing extra raw materials to the construction site where they're rebuilding my knee. And as we age, there are studies that show our natural collagen production goes down, and research suggests that supplemental collagen may improve joint pain and tendon properties, as well as support general healing throughout the body. So I mix about 20 grams with my orange juice every morning. It really doesn't taste very good, but I'm willing to try most things to help improve my knee. Okay, I nearly died. That's the worst. Okay, number 3, let's get on to what I think is the low tier, but I still take every single day, and that is protein powder and vitamin C. So which protein powder do I take? I take grass-fed whey protein. I genuinely despise protein shakes. They taste like someone tried to make chocolate milk, but they only had like chalk and artificial vanilla flavoring. The texture is weird, and I'd rather eat real food like 99% of the time. But sometimes I just need to get those extra calories in. I need to get that protein in. And this is one of the best ways to really get myself to just get more stuff in my body. Because my goal is to hit about 1 gram of protein for every 1 pound of my body, which at about 165 pounds is about 165 grams a day.
I can't hit my protein!
But again, you don't need this if you're eating more normal food, and it depends on your goals, blah, 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 blah. If anyone has any good protein shake recipes for me, please send them my way, because honestly, it tastes very bad to me right now. And I don't like bananas. Don't tell me to put a banana in the milkshake. I hate bananas, okay? No bananas. Okay, finally, we're on to vitamin C, and you gotta be careful with this one. So I take Now Foods vitamin C crystals, which is just 1,000 milligrams of ascorbic acid, which is all vitamin C is. It tastes acidic. It's nice. But I eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, and most people eating a reasonably varied diet are likely getting enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy. And scurvy's still a real thing, by the way.
This is madness.
A 2023 meta-analysis found that vitamin C supplements may reduce the duration of common cold symptoms in some populations, but it's really cheap. It dissolves in my orange juice nicely, and supposedly it works synergistically with my collagen to help out my ACL. I take it more honestly out of habit than necessity at this point, but it hasn't made me feel bad. I still feel pretty good, so I'll just continue to take it. Okay, so those are the supplements we got. Let's see if I can remember all of them. Creatine, magnesium, vitamin D plus K2, whey protein, collagen, omega-3s, and vitamin C. But here's the reality check. Supplements likely maybe give you a 5% boost. Maybe. I might feel slightly more energized at the gym. I might recover a little faster. My sleep might be deeper, but this could easily be placebo effect, which is still an effect, by the way, but it could be placebo effect. The medical community's stance on supplements remains unchanged and really can be summarized as maybe. And unless you have a specific deficiency or medical condition, most supplements probably aren't necessary. A comprehensive 2018 review on magnesium emphasized that while magnesium research has focused on disease treatment, the emphasis should be on prevention through good nutrition and not supplementation. The supplement industry wants you to believe that pills can replace fundamentals. That's these drinkable foods, that's your athletic greens, everything like that. And they can't. The foundation is still quality sleep, consistent exercise, whole foods, stress management, and properly managing any health conditions you have with your doctor. No supplement is gonna fix that stuff. And now I think a lot of people will be like, what about this supplement? What about fiber, zinc, calcium? I really did consider all of these, but I feel they're more targeted towards specific disease states and deficiencies rather than being broadly beneficial like I think the ones above are. And if you're eating a varied diet, you're probably getting enough of these things. If you're not, and you have a specific health condition, that's a conversation for you and your doctor, not your friendly neighborhood ex-doctor YouTuber who really only practiced medicine for 1 year. So overall, what's the plan? Well, I plan to continue this stack for probably another year to see if there's any long-term benefits. I'm getting blood tests every couple of months, but I'm not fooling myself, right? Supplements are the icing, not the cake. And if I had to rank factors contributing to my health and happiness and overall good stuff, I'd probably say sleep quality and duration is probably around 30%. Regular exercise is probably around 25%. Nutrition from whole, good foods is probably around 20%. And then stress management and mental health, family, social connections, all that kind of good stuff, probably around 15%. And then finally, I have genetics, environment, luck, all that kind of stuff, 5%, and supplements as 5% with that entire stack that I just listed. If all the fundamentals are dialed in, maybe consider adding one supplement at a time after speaking with your doctor. Start with vitamin D if you're deficient, get tested first, talk to your doctor, then maybe magnesium if you have sleep issues, and then maybe creatine if you're doing resistance training. The best supplement is still a good night's sleep, close relationships with friends and family, daily exercise, and a home-cooked meal. Bro, do you even like creatine, bro? But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I can't believe I became the supplement bro. But I will see you on the next one. Bro, creatine! Creatine, you need it! No creatine. No creatine.